I grew up on Burleigh, all up and down Burleigh, again, like I said. And then in that, not having a mother who was capable of providing for me, having a father who I knew but was absent because he wasn't here. I had siblings who were capable and did take care of me, but they also lived in a whole nother state. So it was really just Shayvon fending for Shayvon on hundreds of days. And from that led me to then depend on other people for the resources that I needed. I never forget being a freshman going to school in K-Swiss, right? I lived on Burleigh. You could go on 35th and Burleigh in the beauty supply store and get you a pair of K-Swiss with just $35. I have no shoes, right? And I wouldn't go to school. So the neighborhood guy who we knew was a drug dealer, whatever, he saw me one day and he said, "Shayvon, why you ain't in school?" And I was like, "Cause I don't got no shoes and I'm not going back to school in East K-Swiss that I have on." Right there was his opportunity where he could have been like, "Shayvon, well, I got to wait for you to make some money." And at that time, money looked good for me because I needed a meal, I needed shoes, so on and so forth, right? He didn't do that to me, but what he did give me was drugs. He gave me 10 bags of rocks and he said, "I don't got no cash, but you can go sell these and get you a pair of shoes." I was 16. Yeah, I was 16 years old as a freshman, 1998. But what if he had offered me a different opportunity? So that's how I look at this now. Although I didn't have to live a life where sexual exploitation was a situation for me, it could have been. No way that I can sit back and have all this knowledge in my mind, but then not educate, raise awareness, not only for our youth, but for our community as a whole. And when I really started to research sex trafficking and the vulnerabilities that lead people into this lifestyle, whether they go forcefully or willingly, I was like, oh my God, this could have been me on any given day. Do you know how many days I come home, I didn't have a place to live, the school bus pull up, all our stuff outside, I have to walk past it just so the kids don't know that that's my house, or not knowing where my next meal was going to come from because school ended on Friday. I haven't eaten since 11 o'clock and now I got to go Saturday, Sunday, Monday to 11 o'clock just to get my next meal. Not having just clean clothes, or somebody that was an adult or a support system that was making sure Shayvon was okay. I had aunties that lived here that I would depend on, but even still, those weren't secure situations for me, because I had one day an auntie knew I was homeless and wouldn't even let me in her house. I'm 9 years old. Where am I supposed to go at 9? What I've learned through my journey here in Milwaukee is a lot of our sex trafficking from our inner city is not because they were kidnapped. It's not because they went missing. It's because lack of resources that the city of Milwaukee provides for our impoverished neighborhoods. So it's a means of survival for them. Not necessarily that they want to do it, but they got to do it. They got to feed their siblings. They got to feed themselves. They got to clothe themselves. They got to put a roof over their head. There's tons of different signs. Some of them are more obvious than others. And then some of them are not as obvious as you would think for our kids, because when we talk about youth and sex trafficking, some of our children go to school every single day. And then you would never know, right? Because the idea of what society says this life looks like is homeless or dirty or walking the street, and that's not necessarily the case. It is a case, but it's not the main case that says this is what this person looks like. They could live they can live in households with their entire family and still be being used and coerced by someone else. They can also be a night working woman who we do see all the time. Me and my kids are subject to seeing them more often than others because of where they go to school. So we on the corner of their block, then there's women all up and down North Avenue. And we see them all the time. And because of the work that I do, my kids are now aware of how to identify. But here's my question when we talk about what do they look like, right? Why do we need to know what they look like? That's been the question for me. People ask me that all the time. Well, how do you identify them? Why do you need to identify if you're not going to help? Is the question that always lingers for me. No need to identify somebody if you're not going to help them, because a few things that we know for sure is identifying means nothing but they're aware and they're in your view, right? But you're not going to walk up to them and help them because that's not safe. You don't know who's watching them, or you know what I mean, or sitting in a car somewhere down the street, and it'll probably harm you if you're not an active paying customer. So I have a fine line between identifying what they look like versus being a resource and providing the help that they need, because they look 100 different ways. They're every shade of color, they're every race, they're every nationality, they're from every educational level. Because the thing about sex trafficking is they don't care if you go to Bible study on Wednesdays, church on Sundays. You could be the 4.0 kid at your school. If they want you, they'll get you. So that identity thing is not nothing that's set in stones to categorize who someone is when we say working women of the night. Women just aren't valued. We haven't been valued. We're not valued on pay. We're not valued on sex. We're not valued in employment. Some of us make it to high statures, but we still have a fight. We are still struggling in many different areas to get to where we need to be. Tons of people out here doing the work. If you can support them, do it. If you could share a story, if you could donate $1, if you can volunteer your time. Not one person has the solution to save everybody. It's going to take a collaborative effort amongst everybody to save our kids, to save our people, to save our women, to save our men, because this is not just a female persona. This is a human. That's why it's called human sex trafficking. It is a human being problem, and everybody is part either of the solution or of the problem. Find yourself on the part of the solution and just be supportive of everybody who's doing the work, and donate and volunteer and help where you can.